What up, you nerds? Fallout here, and remember that clicking the subscribe button has a 4% chance of giving you the ability to speak to the dead for 5 seconds. Now that people are starting to really get the hang of the new Vow of the Disciple raid, the time has come to ask the following question. What raid loot is the best raid loot? And I'm not talking about the exotic pulse rifle, by the way. Check that out in my other video. We're talking legendary raid weapon god rolls, of which there are many because the new raid weapons are actually fairly hot. Today, we're going to quickly go over each one, what they bring to the table, what perks you really want on both in PvE and PvP, and why. By the way, today's video is brought to you by Apex Gaming PCs. You want to get an awesome high-performance gaming PC, but you don't know where to start? Don't even worry about it. Apex has got you completely covered. Hit the link down in the video description to check out their beautiful machines, and remember to use discount code FALLOUT at checkout to receive up to $250 off your purchase. Thank you, Apex. All right, raid weapon time. First weapon on the table, the Insidious pulse rifle. I gotta tell you guys, I've been using this both in PvP and PvE, and the thing slaps. For those of you who were fans of the Blast Furnace back in the day, your time has come. Ignore the snide post-game comments from haters who may throw around the term dad rifle. If anything, with the right roll, you'll definitely be showing them who their daddy is with this bad boy. Insidious is an aggressive frame rifle, meaning it'll fire out 4 bullets in each and every burst. Optimal time to kill wise, you're looking at a 0.73 time to kill, not too shabby. Barrel wise, you've got some great options. Thankfully, the Insidious already comes with a boatload of range and stability right out the gate, but of course you can always add more onto the pile if you feel like you might benefit from more range or more stability. However, because the gun has such great stats right out of the box, think about going for arrowhead break maybe. Insidious has a default recoil direction of 78, kind of an awkward number, but arrowhead takes that right up to 100. I've done some tinkering in PvP, and right now, arrowhead is my go-to on the rifle. Without needing to worry about a counterbalance mod, you can go with either targeting adjuster or even the full auto weapon mod, which turns the gun into easy mode and lets you focus 100% on your crouch strafe game. Now, normally, I don't like hurting my range on a pulse rifle, but again, Insidious has a ton to begin with. Don't be shy about leaning into steady rounds in column 2 if you happen to play controller. But if you're already okay on the current level of stability, which many of you probably will be, Accurized is right there for the extra range bump. For perks in column 3 and 4, you got good options. For PvE, Dragonfly is always fun and it pairs together really well with Rampage for a killer ad clear build. Enemies that you kill via Dragonfly's explosions proc Rampage, by the way, so all you'll need to do is just headshot one enemy in PvE, and thanks to everybody going boom, you will now immediately have Rampage level 3. Beautiful combo, and I'm lucky it was actually my first ever drop on the weapon. If you're in the market for other damage dealing perks that aren't Rampage, you've got plenty of choices. One for All, Adrenaline Junkie, Vorpal Weapon, and the all-new Bait and Switch are all here. One for All and Stats for All would be another fantastic PvE ad clear combo. After all, they both have the same activation criteria. Adrenaline Junkie and Demolitionist also would be a peanut butter and jelly-like combo. Throw a grenade, get a big damage buff, then use the beefed up weapon to get kills and recharge your grenade back quicker. Bait and Switch gives a 20% damage buff after you've dealt damage with all your weapons in a short window of time. The perk also has a 10-second duration, which is nice, but for ad clear, I think I'd rather have either Rampage or One for All. And if you want extra damage on boss enemies, just go for Vorpal Weapon, which gives you a permanent 20% extra damage on all bosses for free. Adaptive Munitions is there too to help you deal with shielded enemies better, but I'm usually more down with extra damage in PvE. For PvP, I want Rapid Hit or Heating Up, hands down, unless I'm running a grenade heavy build, in which case Demolitionist. Rapid Hit and Heating Up are really good in the neutral game. Rapid Hit probably edging out my pick for the #1 spot. Better weapon performance by just landing bullets in the head? Hell to the yeah. In column 4 for PvP, it's going to be Junkie or Rampage for me. The extra damage won't ever let you lock up a 1-burst kill, but it will let you hit your optimal time to kill easier, i.e. more headshot forgiveness if your aim ain't perfect. Overall, the Insidious has been probably my most enjoyed raid weapon so far. I give it a hard recommend for PvP and for PvE. Next weapon we have is the Submission SMG. Now you guys know I'm nothing if not straightforward. The Submission SMG is good for sure, and I do enjoy using it a lot. However, it has unbelievably harsh competition in my eyes from the two goated SMGs, Multimach and Shakira's WAP. Multi-Mach and Shayura's Wrath. Submission's zoom is 15, better than a lot of other SMGs out there, but just shy of Multi-Mach and Shayura, which both are at 17. A difference of 2 zoom may not seem like a lot, but it's a big part of why both these two SMGs feel incredible. That being said, Multi-Mach does have unbelievably low stability, a problem which the Submission does not have. Long story short, too late, if you've either never gotten a God roll Multi-Mach and you don't want to go grind for one, Submission is up to the challenge, and even though the zoom is a smidge under par, I think the perks available on the gun will probably bring most people around. Let's get this out of the way right now. Because the stability is so high, if I'm looking for a PvP God roll, I want full bore and accurized rounds in columns 1 and 2 full stop. Jumping ahead a little bit here, if you throw a range masterwork on top of that, you're looking at 68 range and 42 stability. Again, not nearly as good as Multi-Mach's max range of 84, but if you go that high on the Multi-Mach, your stability will bottom out at 17. Submission will be way easier to control, bet your money on it. Continuing our PvP roll while we're on the subject, column 3 has great options including several that will improve the gun in the neutral game. Overflow, steady hands, sleight of hand, perpetual motion, and even Encore are perks that I would be happy with. Encore in particular is interesting. You're either going to get a range or stability buff on the gun, either which you would gladly appreciate. The other perks I mentioned are all tempting, but the PvP submission I go for is probably going to feature perpetual motion. Unlike other perks which require final blows to activate, like steady hands or sleight of hand, perpetual motion just requires you to move around. It's pretty much always on in PvP and gives you better weapon performance for free. In column 4, Killing Wind, Thresh, Demo, and Swash are all tempting. If you're a player with a melee heavy build like a throwing knife hunter or a syntho titan or whatever, Swash is the clear choice, but I'm looking at Harmony. Pair submission with any filthy energy weapon, maybe one that requires little to no effort to use properly, and was also handed out for free to everybody. Can you think of one energy weapon that maybe fits that description? Well, if you do, get a kill with that weapon and bam, swap over to your Harmony submission, which now has an extra 20% damage and a handling buff for 7 seconds. Eat your heart out, kill clip. PvE wise for the submission, the gun's roll is simple, add clear, and when you're looking for an add clear weapon, you are looking for Frenzy. Oh sure, Swashbuckler has a higher damage ceiling, but Frenzy is easy to activate and it lets you swap between other weapons without going away. IMO, you want either Frenzy and Subsistence or Frenzy and Overflow. Either would be great. That's kind of it. Very straightforward weapon. Currently, I recommend it more in PvP than I do for PvE, but you do you. Alrighty, next we have the Deliverance, aka the first ever legendary kinetic fusion rifle. I'ma be real with you, Deliverance has hard competition from another fusion rifle that will remain nameless, but the good news is that A, Deliverance is kinetic, meaning if you have an energy primary weapon you really enjoy, Deliverance can actually pair together with that, unlike most other fusion rifles. Also, B, it has some good perks going for it too. In the land of PvP, you're gonna need to take your pick in column 2 between Particle Repeater and Accelerated Coils. Projection Fuse is a contender too, but every time I dig deep into fusion rifles, I come back with the same opinion. They function the best with a butt ton of stability, meaning that in column 1, I'm probably going to go with polygonal or small bore. Back to column 2 though, I'm probably going to end up rolling with Accelerated Coils. It doesn't improve the charge time by a ton, but with all the other fusion rifles running around out there, a shorter charge time, even by a little bit, could get you a kill when the other dude is still charging up his fusion rifle. But if you just want the more consistent weapon performance, sure, go with Particle Repeater. I need to say this, and yes, you can tell True Vanguard to send me a strongly worded letter. I think that the perk Cornered is overrated on fusions, and there's often a better pick sitting right there next to it. Cornered only turns on when you're within 15 meters of 2 enemies. In PvP, if you have a fusion rifle and you're within 15 meters of 2 enemies at the same time, you're likely about to get shotgunned or flat out team shot, unless one of the 2 enemies isn't facing you or paying attention, and if that is the case, you didn't need Cornered in the first place. I'd much rather have Heating Up or what I'm probably going to go for on the gun, which is Perpetual Motion. Again, fusion rifles love stability, and Perpetual Motion gives you extra for literally moving around, which you're going to be doing anyway. I'm so sad that Deliverance features Successful Warm-Up in column 4. I think it's an interesting perk and it can help you kill quicker, but you'd be borderline crazy to take anything other than Tap the Trigger. Tap the Trigger on fusion rifles is literally free. Extra stability, better accuracy for just pulling the trigger. For PvP, I'm taking that perk all day. For a PvE role on Deliverance, you'd probably be better off with a damage dealing perk in column 4. Adrenaline Junkie and Harmony are both tempting, but Surrounded and a Surrounded Weapon mod can beef up your damage by a whopping 40%, and it's really easy to activate in PvE. Chill Clip might also be worth a look, but only if you're running a stasis build. Overall, I'm more keen on Deliverance in PvP, but there's definitely PvE potential depending on your build. Next up, we've got the Forbearance, a wave frame grenade launcher. I'll be honest, I don't really like wave frame grenade launchers in PvP. They can put in work, but you can't half-ass it. Every shot has to be 500 IQ big brain, or you're gonna end up wasting all your ammo with nothing to show for it. Sleight of hand would be a good pairing for PvP, especially because it's a weapon you have stowed most of the time until you see a window of opportunity to quickly whip it out. Phrasing. In 6v6, Ambitious Assassin could be fun for sure, giving you 2 in the mag after a kill. I think I'd either go with Steady Hands or Surplus though. Surplus gives you better performance most of the time, but Steady Hands gives that big handling buff to all your weapons after a kill. In column 4, I've got a safe pick and a wildcard pick for PvP. The safe pick is Wellspring. You get a kill and bam, more ability energy. Easy, non-complicated. The wildcard pick is Chain Reaction, which I'd love to troll people in Iron Banner with. Overall, I think the Forbearance was probably designed for PvE though, and I'm okay with that. Huge shame though that it doesn't come with auto-loading holster, a perk which one-shot launchers really appreciate. My PvE role though is probably going to be straight up Ambitious Assassin and Chain Reaction, or Ambitious Assassin and Rampage, leaning a little bit more towards Chain Reaction. Having Assassin and Chain together is great. Overflow the mag and clear out ads with little effort via the power of Chain Reaction exploding. I'd probably rather have a blinding grenade launcher for endgame PvE content, but the Forbearance is still really fun IMO. Next, we have the Cataclysmic Linear Fusion Rifle. Unlike other weapons we've gone over so far, I wouldn't really ever want to take a linear fusion rifle not named Arby or Lorentz Driver into PvP. IMO, they're just inferior power weapons when compared to grenade and rocket launchers and even machine guns. Turnabout could get you an overshield for picking an enemy out of their super, and no distractions could help too, but the Cataclysmic was made for PvE, and while it does have competition from Reed's Regret, it's got good options on the table. Dragonfly is fun, but probably more suited for primary or energy weapons and not a power weapon, which generally we like to save for big damage on big enemies. 4th times the charm is definitely the top candidate and what most people out there are gonna want on their Cataclysmic. Clown Cartridge is a good pairing if you want to go full ham on maxing out your mag, but the bread and butter pairing here is 4th times the charm and Focused Fury. Remember, when activated, Focused Fury is going to give you an extra 20% damage. In the same way that Void weapons are hot right now with Void 3.0, when we eventually get Solar 3.0, the Cataclysmic could come in and be a real destructive force. Finally, we have our last weapon, Lubrae's Run, a Solar Glaive. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that incorrectly by the way, but what are you gonna do? Lubrae has a really badass weapon design that I love, but out of every raid weapon, I might be excited about Lubrae the least. Glaives are fun, but the enigma is a Void Glaive and current top dog because it can mesh uber well with all the Void 3.0 builds floating around the meta right now. Lubrae has some interesting perks though, including the unique Immovable Object and Unstoppable Force, which only roll on this weapon. Those two perks together would definitely be good synergy. Immovable would give you extra weapon energy when stationary with your shield up, and then Unstoppable gives you extra projectile damage after you've blocked any damage. Even with that fun little pairing though, I think a lot of people are going to lean towards extra damage dealing perks like Surrounded, Vorpal, and Swash. While those perks are really tempting though, you gotta make sure you understand that the extra damage you get on a glaive goes towards your projectile attack and not your melee, which is really kind of a letdown. Being able to whack people with an extra 40% damage from Surrounded would be great, but again, it only will power up the damage of your projectile attack. Even still, Grave Robber Swash would be a fun pairing. Both perks now activate on melee kills with the glaive, so all you really gotta do is leap into battle and swing away like Joaquin Phoenix on a cornfield alien. Unrelenting would also be a good call. Paired together with the origin trait Soul Drinker, you could be in for a lot of health regen on that build, which is never a bad thing in PvE. Overall, I think the Lubrae could be great in future seasons when we get Solar 3.0, but for now, if I want a glaive, I'm gonna go with the Enigma. If you've got any particular weapon rolls you're either hunting for or that you've used and you really enjoy, let me know what they are down in the comments section. And while you're down there, be sure to click like on today's video. Helps me and the channel out a ton, and you can do it for free. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.